It's time for
DodgerHeads.
Dodgers have won it all in 2020. Shohei Ohtani, 50-50 club. Strikes him out. There's a drive. Shohei Ohtani. Freeman hits the ball. She is gone. Birthday party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
Hi, everyone, and welcome in to the DodgerBlue.com postgame show presented by Medium Large Sports Media. I'm Matthew, filling in for Jeff tonight. Anthony, our usual Tuesday night appearance. Anthony, I don't know about you, but I was watching those highlights and thinking maybe we should just have that video play on a loop for everybody tonight because I don't know how many positive things are to be said.
That intro is easily the most positive thing we're gonna talk about tonight for sure.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to get on Jeff a little bit. I know Blake filled in for Jeff on Sunday night show. Dodgers obviously had just gotten swept by the Astros. I'm filling in now for Jeff on our Tuesday night show. Dodgers have lost 5 in a row, and so we're gonna need to send Jeff some text messages of, hey, you need to get back and answer to the people. They want to talk to you, not me, about this losing streak.
Yeah, he ducked out at just the right time.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I know it's been a frustrating stretch for the Dodgers, but we're always here to, kind of talk through some of the positives, and unfortunately there aren't very many of them, but we will get to a couple things that I think stood out from tonight's loss to the Brewers. Of course, the negatives, and kind of looking ahead at this next now handful of games for the Dodgers as they head into the All-Star break. And as a reminder, if you are with us on YouTube, please be sure to hit the thumbs up button on this video, subscribe to our channel, ring the notification bell, all that good stuff. It's not always bad. The Dodgers do still win a lot more than they lose, and so these shows can definitely be fun. And, we are getting close to the trade deadline. We're just over, 2 weeks away, about 3 weeks away from it, end of the month, July 31st. So that could be some exciting times. You don't want to miss anything. And if you aren't on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, maybe come check out our YouTube channel at some point. And if you're listening via podcast, same thing. Regardless, if you are podcasting or YouTube, just please be sure to subscribe and leave us some feedback and all that good stuff. And as a reminder, I'm seeing a lot of our familiar names and faces here in the comment section, so I'm sure all of you know. If you want us to discuss a specific topic or answer a certain question, then Super Chat is the way to go on YouTube. And we do have a couple of those already. The first one, Stockton Slap, is back in here with us tonight. He says, sounds crazy, but trading Betts is necessary. I'll admit, Anthony, there are a lot of things that I had on my bingo card of what's kind of been going wrong for the Dodgers. I know Mookie's been struggling. I didn't necessarily see this one coming up.
Matt and I were texting before we started the stream, and we said this could get ugly. This stream, this chat could get ugly. Stockton Slap does not disappoint out of the gate. Trade Mookie Betts. No, they're not doing that. They don't need to do that. But I appreciate the boldness. That would shake things up.
Yeah, I mean, yes, they're not trading him. I don't think they necessarily need to. I think, and I know Blake has been way out in front on this. I think with the Mookie situation, it kind of just boils down to maybe readjusting, if you will, kind of expectations for him, maybe offensively. Look, defensively, Mookie has been great at shortstop. Like, he has handled that a lot better than I would have anticipated. I thought that was going to be the problem spot. We saw it a lot last year, and I know that he was learning it on the fly because they made that switch late in spring training. But truly, like, a full off season of workouts has done wonders for him defensively. In terms of the bat, there's obviously some concern there. I know the popular narrative is that it's because he's playing shortstop, but we've tweeted out several times kind of his splits last year as a right fielder, as a shortstop, what he's hitting this year. It doesn't appear to be tied to anything defensively.
No. And I don't know how many times we have to say he was a declining right fielder.
Yeah.
He was becoming average and probably was on his way to being below average at some point during this contract. He's a better shortstop now than he is a right fielder. So I'm not sure where the narrative is that, like, he's winning gold gloves in right. He hasn't done that in a long time, and he hasn't been that guy in a long time.
Yeah.
With that said, though, he's bad offensively right now. Like we talked about adjusting expectations and where we set the bar for him going forward, maybe. And that is accurate. That's true. Blake and I talked about that on Sunday. But that doesn't excuse the fact that currently, right now, he's pretty bad.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think, again, I don't necessarily believe that shortstop is to blame. I think, you look at Mookie's season, he had that weird illness that caused him to lose a bunch of weight. I personally believe that he is still just playing catch up from that. And we do have another super chat from Stockton Slap, who's one of our regulars. So Stockton,
yeah, we appreciate Stockton.
Appreciate your continued support. It says messing with Mookie at shortstop was an obvious gaffe. I mean, again, so Anthony and I just sort of touched on it. Defensively, Mookie has played shortstop better than my expectations, probably better than most people.
Yeah.
And I guess if you are in the camp of, hey, that is affecting him, you want to believe that, then fine. Like, I don't think there's anything Anthony and I are going to say tonight that will change your mind. I don't think there are any stats that we could show you that would change your mind. Dave Roberts did say, when he was asked about this on the last homestand when I was there, he said, I just don't believe, I forgot what night it was, but I don't believe moving Mookie out to right field tonight means he's going to throw out, 2 or 3 hits all of a sudden. And so the Dodgers don't believe moving Mookie to right field is a cure. Mookie doesn't believe that. So you kind of just have to take that. I mean, Mookie obviously is the main person involved. The Dodgers are next closest to that. And I think the biggest thing with all of this is Mookie wanted to play shortstop. Like, I don't know if that is understood enough to maybe the general public is Mookie didn't want to keep playing right field. He wanted, I think he would have accepted second base. I think he's really happy at shortstop.
Yeah. And look, I mean, the trade him stuff and not that that's a common sentiment. Stockton Slap throwing it out there fast and furious, but the guy was a catalyst for 2 World Series runs. And up until the hand injury last year was the second best hitter on this team. And he was probably at that time a top 5 hitter in the National League. Does he ever get back there? I don't know. I don't think he does this year, even with the break. Can he get better? Absolutely. He absolutely can. This season, I don't know if he returns to like that elite offensive level in 2025. We can hope for that in 26 probably, but I think he can be better this season. If he gets hot after the break at some point, I hope this same energy is here to erase the hate that he's getting right now, because without him, it's arguable that they don't win 2 World Series. So, for me, if he wants to play shortstop, he earned that opportunity. And aside from that, he's playing it well. And he was a declining defensive right fielder. He's not fast anymore. He never was like a speed. He was never burning up the bases. Like, I think because maybe his body type, people sort of just looked at him and assumed he was fast. Maybe when he was never fast. He was never fast in Boston. He was okay. Wasn't slow necessarily, but he was not like a speedster. And I don't understand the logic of, well, if you moved him to right where he doesn't want to be, he would suddenly become a slugging offensive player again. And just because he plays shortstop, he's hitting the way he's hitting. I don't understand where that logic comes from, or where there is any proof there. When he started the season last year as a shortstop is when he was raking, and then he got hurt, and then they needed him in the outfield against. They made the moves, but yeah, I mean, it's just I think kind of silly to say like he's not good enough to play shortstop, or he's hitting this way because he's playing shortstop.
Yeah. And we have a bunch of super chats tonight. So everybody, we appreciate those. We're going to definitely get to everything. We have them here sorted through. I am sticking with Stockton Slaps just because kind of keep them as kind of stay on.
Yeah. And Stockton has started a conversation. So that's for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So this was Stockton's third super chat saying, Betts would slug in right. I mean, look, Stockton, like if you believe that, then okay, Anthony and I don't think we're necessarily in that camp. And like I said, I don't know if there's any other information that we can provide that would get you and maybe others to change that viewpoint. Stockton, another super chat, says you don't sacrifice wins for one player wants.
They have the best record in the National League.
Stockton adds, I'm a Betts fan, but it was idiotic to put him at shortstop. I mean, look, if you want to talk kind of big picture shortstop, like I don't necessarily fully disagree with that because I don't know, given Mookie's age already and some of the physical declines we have already seen, like I don't know how long he can continue to play shortstop at this level. So that is a reasonable concern. Like considering the Dodgers, they went ever since Corey Seager left in free agency. It seems like it's really been a revolving door, and the Dodgers have just tried to plug one guy after another when really every solution, if you want to call him a solution, like had some obvious concerns and question marks around them. So if you want to talk about that, fine. But again, defensively, I was among the more skeptical as to how well Mookie would handle shortstop this season. So defensively, he has cleared that bar and then some. Like I don't think, and I'm not saying this is what Stockton is saying, but if anybody is criticizing Mookie's defense, that's not fair. And again, if you're coming at this from the standpoint of it's impacting his hitting, I mean, again, we just explained, like Mookie doesn't believe that, Dave Roberts doesn't believe it, the front office doesn't believe it, and so and there's enough data to kind of back it up as well.
For sure. And look, if you want to have the conversation at this point, and I was not on board with this like 3-4 weeks ago, but if you want to have the conversation about his spot in the order, I think that's way more than fair at this point. But to say that he's not hitting because he's playing shortstop, or that it was a stupid move to put him at shortstop, there's just no evidence of that.
Yeah. All right, Stockton, money bags tonight. We keep getting a bunch of super chats from him. Let me see. Let me finish cycling through them really quick. He says the team needs a shakeup. Dodgers can't beat the top teams, and then he's asking.
I'll say this: Stockton's right on this one in terms of the shakeup. And the under 500 against winning teams and all of that. Like, they are 20-21 against teams over 500. That record has gone backwards in the past week. They're 0-5 in the last 5 against teams. Yeah. Yes. So they were 4 games above 500 going into that Astros series. Right. So here's my hope, is because I really do not think they're going to make a drastic move, like a blockbuster needle moving trade at the deadline. If they do, I think it'll be a surprise to me and you, Matt, and probably to all of our staff here. But I think that this may be a little copium, but I'm hoping that the Glasnow return, Snell coming back, some of the bullpen guys getting healthy, I'm hoping that is the shakeup. Because the arms are getting back are good enough to be, they're like those are landscape altering additions if those guys can stay healthy.
Yeah. Blake Snell is an ace that you would potentially trade for at the deadline, right? Like if a team was selling and he was their top starter on that, he's basically that caliber. I mean, look, I caught a little bit of the conversation you and Jeff had maybe like 2 weeks ago now, kind of debating the Glasnow trade and if it was.
Yes. Yeah.
I forgot how it was described. I honestly, like, if I'm I would look to trade Glasnow just because I don't think that it's going to age well kind of moving forward, and you haven't necessarily gotten enough out of it now. I'm concerned. I mean, look, out of I think maybe you and I discussed this the last time I might have been on with, or maybe actually might have been with Bruce when I did the Ohtani show on Saturday. I'm only counting on one of 2 between Snell and Glasnow to be around for October. I think the odds of both of them being in the rotate, healthy, basically being in the rotation, is slim to non-existent.
Yeah, and that's fair. But they also both haven't pitched all season, so you're hoping that if you can get a dozen starts out of either of those guys, they're going to make them in September and October. So we'll see. But look, I think for as miserable as these last 5 games have been, this sports is funny this way. If Glasnow comes out tomorrow and shoves, and let's say he goes 5 innings, shutout, 1 run, strikes out 8, the tune, I think, starts to change a little bit. Yeah. Because we are now, like, that would be the marking of, okay, if we can get healthy, this starts to look very different. Like I said, him healthy and Snell healthy, and the Glasnow thing for me is a much iffier if than Snell is, because Snell has had his injury issues, but he's also he has been somewhat durable in the past, and he was great in the second half last year. So if they can get those two guys on track here, like I said, that changes the entire outlook of not just the National League race, but I think who the best team in baseball might be.
Yeah, and I think if you want to, kind of close that down to just this final stretch before the All-Star break, if Glasnow pitches well tomorrow, the Dodgers they avoid getting swept, and then you go in, maybe take 2 out of 3 against the Giants, going into with a little bit of better feeling heading to the All-Star break, sort of reset. To your point, I think the fans and a lot of the people on our stream tonight are feeling different. Maybe the players themselves. But yeah, all right, we got a bunch of more super chats. Stockton, I see you have another one in there, but let's try and rotate through a lot of these. Noah Martinez said, "Been here since 2020. You guys cut me through 3-1 deficit to Atlanta." Yeah, that was an interesting series. The NLCS, Dodgers on the brink of elimination. You mentioned, they maybe don't have their World Series wins without Mookie. Mookie made some spectacular catches against the Braves, and I think he also had one in the World Series against the Rays as well. But yeah, that was those were fun shows. Those were interesting times, definitely, and we were still kind of in our infancy of sort of building out this YouTube component to DodgerBlue.com. So Noah, we appreciate the long-time support and the super chat tonight. Freedom says 5 losses in a row, guys, and don't give me any excuses for the loss. Trash offense. I'm feeling another sweep. Kershaw did his job. Yeah, we'll get to some of the Kershaw stuff, hopefully. Yeah, look, I get it. The Dodgers have not been playing well at all, and it starts.
Offense has been terrible. Offense has been absolutely terrible. Real quick on that, since Freedom brought up the offense, this is courtesy of Blake Harris. He posted this on Twitter. Lost 5 in a row. 8 runs over their last 5 games are their fewest in a 5-game stretch since 2017. And they're a negative 33 run differential right now. The worst in a 5-game stretch since 1932. So the offense has been absolutely horrid.
Historically bad, it sounds like. Yeah. And I mean, look, it's going to Teoscar, I know that he wasn't necessarily producing anyway, but he's obviously been out the last 2 games. Tommy Edman is now dealing with his pinky thing. He's been out. Freddie Freeman's been up and down. The Mookie stuff we obviously discussed. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of, sort of thing that happens. Carlos says, no LA hats for neither. Is it that bad? Yeah, Anthony, you have to wear this one because I don't come on here with a hat. So this one's
That's
on you.
True. I'm like 50-50 on the hats. My thing was I was on the treadmill watching the last few innings of this game, trying to change up the juju because I was watching it in the living room before that. It obviously did not work. And then so I jumped in the shower and got out and threw some clothes on. So don't read anything into that. But man, yeah, I mean, I don't even want to look at the logo right now.
All right, let's see. Our next super chat's from Aaron Garcia. We go through these horrible stretches every year. We will be fine. Doesn't make it any easier to watch, though. Yeah, I agree. And that's what I was going to bring up earlier. If you remember heading into the All-Star break last year, I believe they got swept by the Tigers, right? Is that what it was let me try pulling it up really quick.
Yeah, that you might be right there. They are also, I think now with this loss, like 1 game worse at this point this season than they were last year. And Aaron's memory is good with this stuff. Like it was like this last year too. But we went into the last 2 weeks of September with the sky is falling on them.
Well, the Padres were going to win the NL West.
We're going to come out of this Padres series in second place and all of that. And so, yeah, like the Dodgers go through this just like every single team does, and we would hope our fans have a little more perspective, especially coming off of last season and what they did and how they did it. And they're essentially the same team record wise currently as they were last year at this time. So they'll navigate this. They've had these stretches already this season, and they still have the best record in the National League, even though it's ugly right now.
Yeah, and I actually misspoke. I need to give the Dodgers some credit. Last year, they won 1 game against the Tigers, so they weren't swept. But if I have their schedule, 2024, July, so a year ago, start of July, they lost 2 of 3 to the Diamondbacks. They won 2 in a row against the Brewers, then lost the finale, then were swept by the Phillies on the road. won the series opener against the Tigers, and then back-to-back walk-off losses to the Tigers heading into the All-Star break. So that's, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's a 4-8 record heading into the All-Star break with a couple walk-off losses to a Detroit Tigers team that is not this year's Tigers team that is sitting, atop the American League. So yes, I mean, these stretches, I think Matty Man brought it up in the comments earlier. These stretches happen, and as Aaron says here, it is a long season, but it doesn't make it, any more fun or easy to kind of watch.
I'm frustrated. I walked away or turned the channel like a dozen times during this game. Like it was frustrating. This was one of the more frustrating games I've watched this season. They looked like they had no chance against Misiorowski. And Kershaw was doing his job. You know what I mean? And that inning that he gave up those little dinkers and stuff like that, it was just like, they're going to die this way because they can't hit this guy. And sure enough.
Yeah. Lucas kind of staying on the losing streak topic. He says, I get upset, then I think about the 2017 losing streak. Yeah, I mean, that team, they lost, what was it, something like 18 out of 22 or something crazy, and late in the year as well. And so I remember there being a lot of concern, and obviously that year didn't end with the World Series title, but for much different reasons rather than they weren't necessarily playing well or hot at the right time. Jonathan Montgomery says, hearing Tyler Glasnow had a setback. Apparently he ordered the, quote, Matt Moreno Thanksgiving fettuccine Alfredo, end quote, at Olive Garden, out 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, that would be believable because, look, I mean, fettuccine, like, it's fine at Olive Garden, but there are better places to get your fettuccine Alfredo. So if Glasnow needs any advice, he should send me a text and I'll point him in the right direction.
There you go.
All right. Mickey, maybe Mikey, I'm not sure. Dodgers look like a bunch of overmatched little leaguers at the plate against speed. This is what you see in the playoffs. What's ironic is I agree that velocity obviously is king, and that's what you're seeing in the postseason and with these young pitchers nowadays. But I'd have to go back. It was maybe a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, that the Dodgers were getting shut down by some spin and some soft tossing lefties.
They were the worst hitting team against breaking balls. Yeah.
So I guess if you want to say the Dodgers are struggling against I think it just boils down to the Dodgers struggling against everybody right now.
The offense has never really clicked this season. Yeah. Not for like sustained periods, like a series or two. But I think what this team is just capable of exploding on anybody, and just having huge innings. But that sustainability for like 2-week stretches where the offense is just unstoppable, and we saw them do that last year for a stretch. We really haven't seen that kind of production this year. And I think a lot of that blame needs to be shouldered by the first 4 or 5 guys in the lineup. And they have had at different times massive slumps from all of those guys. And none of them have been, and it's hard to get all of those guys hot or nobody slumping at the same time. Baseball just sort of works that way. But it feels like some of the slumps, Mookie, Freddie in June, Ohtani for a couple of stretches, Teoscar Hernandez since the injury, like
Muncy to start the season.
Exactly. The valleys have been really, really low.
Yeah, and I think they've also been prolonged stretches.
Yes.
Where with Freddie, we'll see him go into a slump for a week, maybe 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, and then he's out of it. Not what he's sort of been mired in now. Mookie, the same thing. And again, Mookie, like, I think there's a health component with Mookie stuff, so I don't necessarily want to put him in the same bucket, but fact of the matter is he's not producing and he is out there playing, and he's not going to make excuses. Ohtani, I think his slump has kind of been, 7 to 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, and that's what we've seen. Muncy's obviously was really long. I mean, similar a little bit to last year, but then he also was hurt as well last year. So, yeah, I mean, it's I think it's been how long? Mainly Freddie. I think if Freeman wasn't going through his slump, the offense would be a little bit more productive. And because he's come up in some big spots, and like today, first and second, nobody out. Sure, he got the runners over, but the Freddie Freeman of of April of this year probably hits a ball to the gap, or at least gets a single and keeps the line moving, scores a run and stuff like that. So yeah, that's been as you mentioned, the offense just hasn't clicked collectively yet. Freedom says this rookie pitcher made a joke of our hitters. Brewers don't stand at bat. They get up and swing. Dodgers not aggressive. I mean, sure. Like, again, I feel like this is always a fine line, because then if the Dodgers are going up there and swinging, first pitch every time or within the first 2 or 3 pitches, then there's, and Freedom, I'm not saying you specifically, but there are fans that are saying, what are they doing? Why aren't they working his pitch count? They're going to let this guy throw a complete game on 80 pitches. But yes, I mean, they were shut down by a very good pitcher tonight also is the other reality.
Misiorowski is already one of the best pitchers in the league.
Yeah.
So there's that.
He needs a new nickname though.
The Miz, you don't like the Miz?
Yeah, well, because I hear that and I think of like the wrestler, right? Isn't there? There's a wrestler out there named the Miz.
Yeah, I worked in Milwaukee for a long time. Not the best nickname producing city in the National League. Ryan Braun was the Hebrew Hammer for a while.
Yeah,
before he basically told everyone, "I don't ever call me that. It's terrible." Yeah, look, and for the Brewers, like the one thing with Kershaw is that he's not a feared guy in terms of like the swing and miss now, because other opposing lineups know that he's not going to throw the ball by him. So they will get up there and swing, and so it's going to look a little different. The Dodgers not being aggressive, yeah, I don't know, because Misiorowski got a ton of swing and miss today. So they were taking the bat off their shoulders. It was just, he was throwing 99, 100, 101 with the 90-mile-an-hour changeup out of the same arm slot. It's tough. It's tough. And when your offense is already crappy, they're going through this stretch, and you face a guy like that, you're going to look silly.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If Dodger fans give him a nickname, it won't be flattering. Yeah. A lot of frustration tonight. All right, let's keep going through these super chats. Let's see. 300 GJW says, I know this for certain. I never need to see Outman or Conforto hit again. I'm thinking we need a bat at the deadline. So we mentioned this earlier, like not necessarily expecting a big impact move. I think it is reasonable to expect something is probably coming in the outfield, though. And I mean, even with that, like, at this rate, it doesn't necessarily need to be an all-star. I mean, look, Conforto's season, like he's had a week here and there where he looks like he's found something, and then it's kind of back to what the year has kind of been in totality. James Outman, I think it, sort of speaks for itself in that regard.
Yeah. And I mean, I agree. I think pitching is the bigger need. I'm sorry. Hitting is the bigger need over pitching at the moment. And you sort of, okay, who's the guy out there? Like, who would be the target, I think, for a sort of middle of the order, top of the order type of bat? Is it Bregman? Well, you got Muncy coming back. Duran maybe in the outfield, if depends on what Boston does. But there's not a lot of those guys out there that you go, okay, if you trade for this guy, he transforms what your lineup looks like. And maybe that's not what 300 is exactly saying. Maybe he just wants somebody who's going to produce more consistently, and that's fair as well. But again, I don't know who that guy is. Like, looking at ESPN's ranking of like trade candidates, most of them are pitchers. Bregman is obviously at the top because he's Bregman. But like Josh Naylor from the Diamondbacks is the 9th ranked player on the trade deadline list of guys who might be on the block. He's not like no one's popping champagne if they trade for him. Yeah. Like it's a thin market, I think, and there's a lot of teams who think they're still in it. It's going to be a seller's market too.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. What else do we have? Another super chat. Jonathan says Dodgers always do this. They have a Nick Ahmed, Billy McKinney, Joey Gallo level offense for 3 weeks early. Then August comes around and they go 43-7. Chill. Yeah, I mean, look, the patience aspect is one that I know a lot of our listeners, our viewers are probably sick of hearing from us collectively. I can sympathize and understand that the losses are frustrating and things, and there's some maybe things to be worried about, like Freddie Freeman slumping this long, Mookie Betts slumping this long. But again, like with Mookie specifically, like I said earlier, it kind of comes down to maybe just reevaluating what the expectations are in terms of hitting from him. Freeman, you hope that he gets on track. And if it doesn't happen, then it's not going to, like, the pitching won't matter. Conforto won't matter. Like, the reality is the Dodgers do need their stars to kind of right the ship. Yeah. But yes, there is still time, and they do still have the best record in the National League and all so on and so forth. But yeah, that was a good line of thinking, Jonathan. You're in lockstep with us. And as we are going through these super chats, we also have a special guest showing us. Let me see. I need to get these things off of here, though. So give me 1 second. My apologies to everybody. I don't know. They moved. Oh, here we go. All right. Scotty.
Well.
What's going on?
What's up, boys? How we doing? Ant, Matt?
Doing better now, buddy.
There we go. There was no game today.
Yeah, no.
That's what. So when Anthony, I led our show off by asking Anthony if we should just loop our intro video over and over since it has the World Series highlights and stuff like that. This is actually, I will say though, everybody tonight, like, there's been some frustration, but there's been good talk. I mean, Stockton Slap came in hot right off the bat, saying they need to trade Mookie Betts.
Oh man!
So we discussed that for a good 10 minutes, but we've got a bunch of super chats here that we're cycling through. But Scott, what's your kind of immediate feedback on the game tonight?
Oh man, this team is tired. This team is hurt. They are tired. They are going through it. They need some pitching. They need their older players to start performing. They need Mookie Betts to take some of the weight off of Shohei Ohtani. I think they need an all-star break to reset. But I was just on with Clint, but I wanted to come over and say, would have this conversation with the both of you, that this makes me feel like 2024 rolling into the all-star break and the deadline all over again.
We just talked about
about it. Yeah, like all over again. Chat, I'm glad everybody's taking that big chill pill that we all know how this goes. We've been saying it, and last year we saw it come to fruition. Just let them get healthy. Let them play at their peak performance. And if they're not, then you can see a bad product when everything goes south. The Dodgers have an expectation bar miles and miles above everybody else. So when things go bad, it's like the team sucks. They're the worst. Trade Mookie Betts. Move Shohei Ohtani to the 4th spot. Move Mookie to 9th. Relax.
All right. There you have it. Gritty Scott. Those are his opinions. Scott's going to stick around. Scott, we have a bunch of super chats we need to get through. So let's add, you can add your voice to this. Maybe the people are tired of hearing from me. Carlos Garcia says, I think the silver lining is that the front office gets to see deficiencies prior to the deadline and has time to make adjustments. So you were just mentioning the trade deadline.
Yeah.
I mean, how much of this, Dave Roberts did say, maybe about a month ago, that this was an important stretch for Michael Conforto. He also said he doesn't want him thinking about the trade deadline. So it was a bit ironic to say that, publicly say this is an important time for him, but hey, don't worry about that.
Doc is not good at the subliminal.
No,
like the passive. No. He's not good at it.
He just tell you what he wants. Just follow those. If you look, he'll tell you exactly what he's thinking. Right. And oh man,
Scott, what do you think their biggest need is at the deadline? Anthony and I think, Anthony, did you say outfield or pitching?
No, I said until this stretch, I thought it was a reliever. Mm-hmm. But I think now, like, I'm more open to probably an outfield bat. I think that makes the most sense. We were talking about, quickly touched on, like, Bregman being at the top of the list just in terms of all trade candidates possibly. But if you believe Muncie's coming back and that he'll get back to where he was, then you don't want to really disrupt that. And so I think if they go offense, they have to look in the outfield.
I agree. I really do. And we've talked early on in the year about just the price tag with Michael Conforto being the case, where it's just like how much. I think we all had this. I think Jeff and I think I asked, how much faith do you put in the Dodgers in just axing a contract like that? And that's something I have a hard time like believing it till I see it, because it's just, I know they could do whatever they want with the money, but it's purely based on what they saw in him and then cutting that experiment and then just getting rid of that money. If they do it, then great. Then it's not our problem anymore. But to keep him around past to a certain point, like this is a big sample size. This is a very large sample size where we kind of know who he is. I understand the hard hit metrics and all that, and things can boop, if they flip a script and they go out of nowhere. But we're talking about like 295 plate appearances now at something like at this point. And we've seen him as one of the worst hitters in Major League Baseball. I know he's had a little bit of a blip as of late, but he's not an impact guy. Michael Conforto cannot be your fifth hitter. And I know they're dealing with some injuries, but he is not someone where you're going up there like, yeah, that's someone I can slot in there in left field every single day. I don't want a $17 million platoon bat. I think you need to get somebody a little bit more stable out there. You have to. And I'm with Anthony. I think that offensive piece kind of goes ahead for me because, Blake Treinen working his way back, starting pitching. Hopefully they all get healthy. They have enough arms if they keep on that upwards trajectory. But I agree. A bat is kind of where I'm focusing on right now.
And I think too, on that Conforto deal, I think at a certain point, and that point is probably in July, where I don't think they DFA him. I think that if they made a move here for an outfield bat, it would end up being a situation where someone else is gone. Conforto becomes a bench player. And a lefty bat off the bench, hopefully he can run into one every now and again in that way. I think though that like, if it came down to it, I think now that they're in July and more than half the season is over and he's only on the 1-year deal, I do think they would swallow that money if they had to. If that sort of situation came up, because Friedman and Gomes have talked about keeping this window open. And if keeping that window open is going to cost you $7 million or whatever it is to move off of Conforto, I think they do it.
For sure.
I still think the biggest thing with Conforto though is going to be what like theoretical upgrade there is. Like Anthony, like you were kind of going over the position from a position, but like, and that's
the problem. Yeah.
Like, I think if there's not like a clear, okay, this guy is and I know looking at Conforto stats, that bar is low, so fine. But if there's not a very obvious of, hey, this can be an everyday left fielder for us and hit better and all that stuff, then let's do that. And maybe they cut bait with Conforto at that point. If there's not, then I think they just end up rearranging the pieces. Ha-Seong Kim maybe starts playing more center field and Andy Pages is in left field. And you keep Conforto on your bench and you just try to play the matchups of, okay, you're going to be our bench bat. And I know that sounds funny because he's not tearing the cover off the ball, but maybe you can find a right-handed reliever that you can match him up with and he's able to pinch hit for you type thing. So I don't know. I agree with you guys. I mean, it is, I don't want to call him dead weight, but sort of. And I do think his struggles are magnified because Teoscar isn't hitting, because Freddie Freeman isn't hitting, because like you can't absorb multiple, holes in your lineup when you have, your stars and the guys you were expecting to kind of produce not meeting that level either. Yeah, that's where I forgot what the exact wording was. It was trade deadline stuff in this important stretch. Next super chat's from Kevin. He says, had hopes this team would go back to back. We suck right now. Yeah, I mean, look, we've discussed
they did this
Dodgers
last year too. They went through stretches like this last year.
Yeah, Dodgers are not playing well right now, so I get it. I mean, look, if they win the World Series, like nobody's really going to necessarily remember. It'll be like, oh, like maybe a little bit, like, oh, they looked so bad before the All-Star break, and then they caught fire and ended up winning.
Well, you know what it'll be is we'll be having the same conversation next July.
Good point. Yeah. Let me just clip this and let's see. July 8th. So July 8th, 2026, we're going to put this up instead of doing a live show. That probably will be the case. The Dachshund dude says, I think the team is thinking more about the upcoming break than trying to win games. We also lost several games just before the break last year. Yeah. So we touched on that earlier. Scott, you mentioned it. The team looking a little bit old, a little bit tired. They're obviously injured. Do you feel like they are kind of, one eye looking ahead to getting through the game on Sunday afternoon?
Everybody is, first of all. Everyone is.
I would say for sure, like, look at the lead that they've got in the division here. We talk about this all the time, guys. Like, do the Dodgers just suddenly not care about some games? I mean, I fully agree about that. Like, they don't put the pedal down as much as fans would like them to. So it's when the struggles are happening, it's like, they know, let's just get through this, have a natural reset where you can get away from the ballpark. If you're not playing in the All-Star game, reset yourself, get back in there. Scouting guys are going to come in. They're going to give them a whole game plan. They're going to look at the first half, see what changes can be made in that time where it's hard to do on the day-to-day. And just, it's a grind. Like, it's an absolute grind. Definitely when you take some time and you look at – fans don't like to do this. I hate to do this when I'm fully in it. You don't like to say these guys might need a breather. They might need a little bit of this time away from the ballpark so they can come back, reset, and then go. But it has everything to do with struggles are all magnified when you're the Los Angeles Dodgers, returning champions, and you've got some glaring holes on the roster right now, and you've got some big injuries that are hampering the offense, and the offense makes them go, and the pitching makes them go. Guess what? 2 things they got to wait on to get healthy: offense and pitching. It's all coming to a head right now.
And related to that, some super chats from Stock and Slap. But before I get to that, I do want to throw this one. Laura's excited to see you in here back with us, Scotty. Laura, thank you for also joining us again. Speaking of the offense and getting healthy, Stockton Slap says this team shows no fire or heart. Muncy lost. Losing Muncy hurt.
He's cooking. Let him cook.
I like to agree with you, man. And I try to, the Mookie stuff I couldn't get on board with, and I was trying to bring myself back to your side, but this is a wild take too. The last, I guess, what was the last win they had? Was that the Kershaw 3,000 game? Was that the last win?
Believe so.
They came from
5 in a row now, so go back to the 5 in a row. Yeah, 5 losses in a row. So go back before.
Yeah, they came back and won that game. And like, this team has.
Well, no, because they ended up sweeping the White Sox the next night. So they swept. So
okay, so that was Thursday. So on Wednesday they came back and won that game with a game they kind of didn't have a lot of business winning, I think, considering how that game was playing out. The no heart stuff is crazy.
Yeah, here Mixie says Stockton's slapping.
Yeah, man.
I mean, Stockton's coming in hot.
And we have more from Stockton, so let's get to those. And I do see other super chats as well that we're still cycling through. He says, "I kind of wish nobody made the All-Star game. Players need to rest."
Okay, I'm a little bit back on with him now. He's taking me through a roller coaster of emotions.
Well, let's see what this one says. Let's face it, the stars aligned for us last year. We really had no business winning with 2 starting pitchers. Can't depend on that again. I can't watch.
If you want to know how to hijack a show, he's got the blueprint, man.
Yeah.
Stockton's been spending tonight.
Yeah. He's making it rain. I think part of this is that we're not expecting them to go into October with 2 starting pitchers. I think we're looking at this, and that's why we're saying that shot in the arm we were talking about, maybe that starts tomorrow with Glasnow, and then maybe in a few weeks it's Snell. It's Trinan, maybe it's Gratterall at some point, right? Like it's that kind of stuff. It's Muncy coming back eventually. I think that if we can go into the postseason with Yamamoto, a choice of all of these guys in the basket, Yamamoto, Kershaw, Glasnow, Snell, Ohtani, that's more than 2. And there's like 4 frontline guys in that mix right there.
Yeah, I think a rotation of Yamamoto, Snell, Kershaw, and Ohtani plus whatever piggyback is with him, potentially gets it done. And
I still think at that point Ohtani's up to 5 innings. I mean,
probably.
And if they're in October, this is what you paid the 700 for.
I like that. That's what you focused on, and I didn't get a reaction from Scott yet on me slipping in Kershaw because Kershaw has quietly become one of their playoff starters. I think it's become more and more accepted. I think.
Yeah, and I would say so too. I would
absolutely
say so. He's just
long way to go.
Yeah, he's getting it done. He's getting it done for now.
He is. He did his job today for sure.
Yep. He's getting it done for now. But you saw a 6 swing and miss. I know Misiorowski is another type of beast. He had 21, I think, today. So Kershaw gets it done, doesn't get the swing and miss, gets Ks when he can. But the contact thing, I'm not gonna say anything bad about Clayton Kershaw because he's getting it done, and that shuts me up. That's how it goes. I'm not overly critical of him, but when it comes down to playoff time and it's every pitch is magnified, and with Clayton Kershaw, you got to execute, you got to mix, and if a team's just laying off that slider, we know how it goes. The fastball is not getting pumped by anybody. a lot of things have to go right. But I'm in the camp with Clayton Kershaw like I was with Walker Buehler. And I talked about this all last year, that when it comes down to it, I believe that in them, he's got the ability to just go out and get some outs, find a way to work and get some outs. He's going to fight his way through it. And that's the foot I stayed in the Walker Buehler thing. But with Clayton Kershaw, yeah, he's absolutely doing his thing.
With that said, though, if those other guys that we talked about, if they're in that basket, if those are the options, it's probably hard to put Kershaw in there like as a shoo-in.
Sure.
It's a big if all those guys are in the basket.
Yeah.
Speaking of Kershaw, Carlos wants to know, why did Kersh yell at Outman? Did you see that? I believe it had to do something to the effect of where Outman's throw went.
He wanted Clay. Yeah, Kershaw was hoping that the throw would go into second base to hold Andrew Vaughn from going to second on his knock to the outfield. And that's what ended up happening. But Kershaw in the moment wanted his throw to go in to hold the runner from getting an extra bag. But it worked. But Clayton Kershaw was hoping the throw would go where he wanted to.
Yeah. Another super chat from Aaron Garcia says, at this time last year, we were starting Cavan Biggio and Nick Ahmed. It was a rough time. Scott was going through it last year. Every time Cavan Biggio and Nick Ahmed were in the lineup.
Oh, what did I say? I think I hopped on here a number of times and I was like, this is the worst bench group I've seen in the history of Major League Baseball. And I had to hold back so much there. Like, yeah,
in your defense at that time, it probably was.
It was insane. Like the bullpen guys, what was it? Nick Ramirez too, when made an appearance. They had some insane DFA pickups and some bottom barrel pieces. And the Cavan Biggio in hindsight trade was awful. We gave up a dog. I forgot who it was. I saw the prospect that the Dodgers gave up for him. He's shoving with the Blue Jays right now.
Yeah, he made his MLB. Is it this year he made his debut, right? And he's pitching. I saw that same thing, that he's been
pretty
pitching
sure.
Well.
Yeah. Like somebody said, Yohan Ramirez, stop, guys. You're gonna make me angry. Like, I'm not gonna do this. But yeah, it's not like that. Like right now, it's just guys are underperforming. But when I look at a bench of just like Esteury Ruiz, James Outman, oh my God, stop.
All right, let's move on. We don't want to lose Scott.
Yeah.
Ivan Nunez, Anthony, we were discussing kind of playoff rotation. Yamamoto has more home runs this year than all of last year. I mean, yeah, fine. Yes, I agree. I'd have to look at if home run numbers are up across baseball. I don't know if, I guess as I say that, I'm not sure if they are, because I know that there was a lot of complaints and the balls weren't flying as much anymore. Yeah, I mean, I guess he's been a little more susceptible. Anything stick out to either one of you guys as to why that might be the case?
Not really. He was hurt for part of last year.
Yeah,
so he's made just about every start this year, I think. It happens. It doesn't mean he's not one of the best pitchers in the National League still.
All right. You guys have been coming in strong with the super chats. We appreciate these. Scarecrow 06 says, going to watch Dodgers at Giants. I think they mean this weekend. Any idea if Ohtani's scheduled to pitch Friday, Saturday, or Sunday? Thanks. Yeah, Anthony, you and I were discussing this kind of right before we hopped on. So as of now, the probables lined up are, now I'm blank. Dustin May is Friday. Emmett Sheehan is Saturday. And Yamamoto Sunday. Anthony and I think that there might be a potential to start Ohtani on Saturday, basically as, let him open the game, pitch another 2 innings, probably maybe 2 and a third or something. And then Sheehan comes out of the bullpen in the bulk role, if you will. But as of now, the Dodgers have, at least publicly, have not shared. And I don't think anything has come out since tonight's game ended, but they have not shared. Yeah, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, they haven't said anything about Ohtani specifically.
So his next pitching start might be after the All-Star break, but I do think that they'll squeeze him in on Saturday.
I'll be at that series also.
Okay. All 3 games?
As of now, I do think I'm going Sunday also.
Oh, nice.
Friday and Saturday for sure. So if Scarecrow, if you're out there, if anyone else is out there, feel free to hit me up on social media. I'll be hanging out.
Yeah, Anthony will want to talk to you guys over a big heaping serving of some garlic fries, right?
Nice.
Of tequila.
Oh, tequila. Okay. Yeah, he hates garlic fries. That was the inside joke.
So good.
I agree. I don't know how Anthony's not on board with them. Freedom says, even though we lost, I enjoy looking at front row Amy behind home base. Go Amy. I don't 100% get that reference. Another one from Freedom. Hey guys, I'm seeing the Dodgers lose some orange.
Bustin'
He's
loose
going
some
to
orange pumpkin.
Yeah, I don't really fully understand, but Anthony Freedom is another one who will be at a game this weekend.
I like it. Let's take over that park.
Yeah, Freedom, send Anthony a tweet. I'm not sure if it's Mickey or Mikey, so I apologize again. He says the Miz is what I thought we were getting with Roki. I mean, is this fair? I don't know. In terms of developmental state, Scott, I don't know if either one of you, Scott, I'll come to you. Sasaki, because he's so young, he's not obviously as polished or developed as Misiorowski is, right?
I mean, I'd agree. Like Jacob Misiorowski has had an upward trajectory here, and Roki Sasaki went to teams and were like, how can you fix me type thing? How can you maximize me? Like Misiorowski is one of those talents where it's, I'm not saying Paul Skeen stuff, where you look at who they are, you say they've got all the tools to be incredibly successful. They've got the pure 1-pitch, 2-pitch stuff to make it happen. Roki wasn't that guy. Roki
I agree. He was more of a prospect and more of a project a little bit. I think he can eventually get there. I think a better comp for that is, and I saw it somewhere in the chat, so this isn't my original thought, but when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's a good one. I think based on trajectory and where their teams, their organizations saw them when they made their debuts, Misiorowski is probably closer to Bobby Miller when Bobby Miller debuted. I think both those guys sort of had that upward trend. And when they got to the big leagues, their two teams, the Brewers and the Dodgers, both saw those guys as being like front end caliber arms. We know what has happened with Bobby Miller, so that did not pan out. But I think that's a better comp than Roki for the time being.
I like that. Makes sense. Tyler wants to know 2023 Trace Thompson or 2025 Michael Conforto. I mean, this is an easy.
At least Trace Thompson could play some defense.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Conforto saved Kershaw's 3,000 strikeout game. If he doesn't make that catch in left field, I don't know. Kershaw doesn't get his strikeouts tonight. Like, we're looking at after the All-Star break at this point. But yeah, I mean, I think it's I'm taking Trace. Kevin with another super chat. Did Astros beating the Dodgers make them doubt themselves?
Scott, you want to take this?
I don't think it's that deep. Like, I don't think, guys, chat. Kevin, thanks for the super chat, man. Thanks for $2. But let me tell you, I don't think that the Dodgers look at like a team like the Astros. They look at these teams for what, how they play. If they win, they're not looking around like, oh, well, we got swept by the Astros. Guess we're just not as good as the Astros. We're going to shuffle our feet for the next few days. That's not how it goes.
Season after that?
That's it. That'll do it. No. I don't agree. Like, I just really don't. I don't think that's the case. The Dodgers just ran into the team that is currently the best in Major League Baseball against teams over 500. The Astros can play. They've got a team. They're clicking at the right time. They've got pitching. The Dodgers are in the midst, we'll say it again, in the midst of a slump on both ends in terms of approach, offense, pitching. It's just they need to match up. One of them, this is so similar. I had this conversation last year. Somebody's got to, they got to have two dance partners, and right now they're not happening on the same level. And it doesn't matter who they're facing. They can lose to any team right now.
Yeah. John is bringing up a good point, and it's a good thing that actually Jeff is not on this show tonight because he would not have read it since he hates cheese. But John is saying Dodgers will be good. They just need some cheese in their system and some brats. I'm not a big brats guy. I would go more with a hot link, but the cheese I can definitely get behind. But yeah, let's see. Stockton, another super chat. Baseball is just mediocre this year. Let's go Rams. Scott, how your Titans looking for this season?
Oh, I mean, we got Cam Ward train, baby. The least talked about first round pick ever. I don't know if we're going to cook, but it's definitely interesting to watch. That's all I've got.
I don't know if they're going to cook. They're going to microwave some stuff.
There you go. Yeah, I'm going to feel good about it. I'm going to feel good about it no matter what.
Anthony, are you Raiders?
I used to be a pretty diehard Raider fan. I was a diehard Raider fan. And then when they moved out of California, they kind of lost me.
Oh, that's right. Okay. All right, we have Maddie Man was asking, excuse me, if this was a record for super chats.
We're
besides
rolling.
the fire show. Yeah, I mean it might be like this is up there. So we appreciate everybody, and we are going to answer if you weren't able to do super chat tonight, we are going to answer some questions here at the end pretty shortly. So definitely get ready for those. Wayne, thank you for this super chat contribution. I'm not seeing a question with it, so if you have one, just throw it in as a regular comment, and we'll pick it out and we'll answer that. Don't want you to have to pay twice. Another super chat, Freedom. I never thought in my love of baseball, but I actually hate Padres more than Giants. Dodgers since 1955.
There you go.
I don't think where do you guys fall on this?
I said this on Sunday
first.
with Blake. My look on this is the Padres and the Dodgers have a current rivalry because they're both good-ish, I guess. They're both contending. But if one of those two teams, like let's say next season the Padres fell into last place or the Dodgers were in fourth place or whatever, that would sort of be the end of that. That thing would cool down in a big hurry. There's been seasons where the Dodgers and Giants have been battling for the bottom of the division, and anytime those two teams play a series, the fan bases go at it. They hate each other. The teams hate each other. Max Muncy had a good quote on TV a couple of weeks ago where he said, like, we bring a guy in from another team, and after 4 innings of that first game against the Giants, he hates their guts. Like, you sort of understand that. I think that's what it is with these teams. So I think the Padres are the flavor of the month. They used to have this rivalry. When Puig was here, it was the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
We don't care about the Diamondbacks anymore, really. But we always care about the Giants.
That's a good point. Scott,
I'm with you. I'm with you on that 100%. Like, I was thinking that it's in this pocket that we're in right now. It's the Padres. Because the Giants, they don't have those guys that I get pissed off at. Like seeing, I remember in 2014 turning on the TV, Giants Dodgers, and having to stare at Angel Pagan. Nothing made me more than that. Yeah. I hated that guy. Like, man, Angel Pagan, like Hunter Pence was there, cool dude. But seeing like guys, random dudes like named Joe Panic, Matt Duffy. Oh my, nothing made me more angry than seeing those dudes come into a ball game. Now it's the Padres, though.
Yeah, that was why. So I said, oh man, I forgot which. The Dodgers and Padres are a rivalry, but they're not a rival. And to Anthony's point, a lot of it is because it's happening right now. But long term, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, wasn't a rival. Whereas, with the Giants, even with the Yankees, I would say you have that history. But
yeah, I that's a good way to put it too. I think like in 10 years. The Dodgers and the Giants will still be we'll still hate their fan base. They'll still hate us. The teams will hate each other. In 10 years, the Padres, depends if they're good, probably.
Yeah, I agree. Freedom, but hey, I do think some people have shifted more towards kind of having more disdain for the Padres and the Giants of late. So it's been an interesting,
makes sense. Yeah, totally
interesting shift. So you're not alone there. All right, Scotty, we know you've got to run. We appreciate you for hopping in with us tonight.
No doubt.
Anytime you want to come back in, hopefully we'll get you back on after a win. It'll be a little bit more of a celebratory show.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. Great to be on here. But everybody loves me on when we lose. It's just everybody likes that, But yes, I'm gonna say it. They'll get themselves right. Just patience. It's just eerily similar. Every time I've watched them day in and day out, it feels like deja vu with that. Let's get healthy and we'll figure it out and get on here and we'll enjoy a W.
There we go. All right. Thanks, Scott. We'll see you around next time.
Later, buddy.
All right. Anthony, let's kind of wrap up with kind of some of our planned stuff. Real quick, though, I do want to throw this up. Deuce said that Mookie's turned into Cesar as tourist right before our eyes. I am putting this up
fantastic
because I text that to, I don't know if it was just Jeff and Daniel, but recently I said Mookie has basically become Cesar as tourist because he's, kind of a glove first
shortstop. That is so good.
Wayne, the super chat that he meant to include says, I've meant to ask if the organization will finally give up on Conforto right after the break. So yeah, I mean, we did discuss this. I don't want to completely rehash. So I don't want to skirt around your super chat, Wayne, but if you want to rewind the show, maybe 15, 20 minutes ago, we do think that there is a potential for that. But I think the issue, as I think out, and Anthony, you can chime in here too. One issue I see is what is the upgrade going to be? Like, is there an upgrade out there? And again, I recognize that Conforto, the bar is relatively low in terms of production and stuff like that, but the cost and that becomes a factor for Andrew Friedman as well. So one way or another, I think Conforto's time could be up. Now, it could just mean that he's relegated to a bench role, maybe not necessarily removed from the team altogether.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he might hold some value as a bench bat, and maybe it's somebody else who was off the roster. But yeah, I would like, at this point, I would like to see them chase a bat at the deadline. I just don't know who that is. It's slim pickings.
Yeah. Especially for kind of that position. Like, as much as they do have some flexibility in the sense of Pages can play left field if you find a center fielder. Teoscar, theoretically, you could move to left field if you find a right fielder, even though I don't know if the Dodgers they haven't necessarily shown any indication they'd be doing that. But yeah, I mean, it's not like they did come out and say, and it could just be posturing, but there isn't necessarily a sense that they'll trade for a third baseman because Max Muncy will be coming back. So yeah, I mean, it's as you mentioned, not very many options. Another super chat from Freedom. He says, "You guys are all a class act." Freedom, I can tell you on behalf of everybody here at DodgerBlue.com, we appreciate that. We strive to bring you guys accurate, engaging information. And I know we don't always agree on these live streams, but it's fun to kind of see the different perspectives and talk through things the way we did tonight. I mean, look, Anthony, you and I joked about, hey, like, we're a little worried about what this show is going to be. 5-game losing streak, getting shut down. And it's been, I think, one of our most engaging, interactive, kind of fun shows that we've had.
I agree. This has been one of the better shows of the season in terms of engagement from all of you.
Yeah, and big thank you to everybody in here tonight. I've seen a lot of the same familiar faces. If you are new, though, and you are watching on YouTube, Dodger Blue 1958 YouTube channel, please be sure to subscribe, ring the notification bell, all that good stuff. Hit the like button on this video specifically. We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of this season. We're close to 90, so we feel like if we could get to 90, the ball will definitely start rolling downhill at that point. And once we get to 100,000, we're going to do a pretty cool giveaway, maybe even 2 giveaways, maybe even 3. But of course, we need to get there first. Super chat from Carlos Garcia. He wants to know who gets DFA'd tomorrow for Glasnow. I forgot. I'd have to double check.
I think if they go the DFA route, Noah Davis.
Could be. I forget. Was Gonsolin transferred to the 60-day yet?
I was trying to when I said if they go that route, because my gears were turning about if they made that kind of move. But if it's a DFA, I think Noah Davis is probably at the top of my list.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, Gonsolin is on the 60-day injured list, so that's out of the. So yeah, I mean, I imagine there'll have to be a DFA move coming. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. All right, we're gonna answer some questions now. So as a reminder, if you have one, just start it with the word "question" in all caps. I know it feels like we might have spent the entire show tonight answering all the different super chats, but I feel like there is still some stuff that maybe we could get to.
Yeah.
And as those are coming in, well, here, Carlos. Excuse me. Carlos has another super chat. He says, "Does Outman get optioned to OKC soon?" I mean, I think I'd have to look at.
I don't think so because he came up for Kike, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's here for a little bit.
Yeah, there'd have to be a position player ready to kind of come up or come back. And I mean, the reality is that as it is, Teoscar isn't necessarily healthy. Tommy Edman isn't really healthy. So yeah, I mean, they're not necessarily looking at some changes there anytime soon. But Carlos, yeah. I certainly understand the sentiment.
Understand the sentiment.
Yeah. So as you guys are throwing those questions in, as a reminder, please start it with the word "question" in all caps. A bit of news: Yoshinobu Yamamoto, as we mentioned, is starting Sunday, or at least scheduled to, and I imagine he is definitely going to make that start, considering that MLB announced Andrew Abbott has replaced Yamamoto on the National League team for the All-Star game. This happened, as a reminder, like this happens. It's kind of procedural for pitchers. If you pitch, whether you're a starter or reliever, the Sunday before the All-Star break, you still get to go to the All-Star game, but you are technically replaced on the roster because you're not then going to be active and potentially pitching on Tuesday night. So a little bit of a procedural thing. Kind of torn. Like, I know that this the focus is on the Dodgers in the regular season, and with the way things are trending right now, you want all the focus to be there, not necessarily the All-Star game. But I thought it would have been cool to see Yamamoto potentially pitching, and I don't think he was going to be starting. Dave Roberts gets to pick the starting pitcher. He was asked about it on Sunday. I know. Did you and Blake kick that around at all?
Not really. We did touch on it, but it wasn't a long conversation.
Are you thinking Kershaw
to start
the All-Star game?
We were thinking Skeens.
Okay. I mean, he said somebody told, like, I know he was asked about Paul Skeens, right? And then he played it. He was coy about it.
Yeah, he said like somebody tall or something.
Yeah,
like
he said
that.
he is thinking. Yeah, I think the question was, are you thinking of somebody tall and with a mustache? And his response was, I am thinking of somebody tall. It probably will be Skeens. Maybe just a matter of, not necessarily wanting to.
We had the super chat earlier that talked about like we don't want any of our guys to make it. Like, I am of the mindset right now this season, let all those guys be honorary all-stars because they earned it. I don't want any of them to play right now.
Don't travel to Atlanta. Just stay home.
Yeah,
get some rest.
Bring Kershaw out of the dugout. Let him tip his cap and start Skeens.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. All right, let's get to some questions before we close out tonight's show. Again, we've had over 2,000 people with us tonight on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And again, I know it was a frustrating game to sit through, so appreciate everybody who has joined us live. And if you're listening via podcast, be sure, as I mentioned earlier, to subscribe to our YouTube channel, ring the notification bell. That way, hopefully, you can get a chance to join us on one of these live shows that we typically do Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, Sunday nights. And then we mix in, if there's, some big breaking news, we'll do stuff like that. Or Shohei Ohtani, when he pitched this past Saturday, Bruce joined me to do a post-game show to kind of focus on that. All right. Eden says, do you think we see a position player get called up the rest of this year? I mean, I know Alex Freeland is probably the biggest name. He does have to be added to the 40-man roster this offseason to protect against potentially losing him in the Rule 5 draft. So maybe him. Maybe Hunter Fiducia for some reason at some point if they need a third catcher. So I do think a position player comes up. I don't know who it would be, and I don't know if it would be like impact per se.
Yeah. Going through the list right now. Yeah, I don't know. Freeland's an interesting one. Since the injury, he hasn't been great. But they may be in need of an infielder, and he could be the name. I don't know. I don't like to give that answer, but it's such a crapshoot right now. I think as of right now, if everything holds, Kike hurt and he eventually comes back. Muncy hurt, he eventually comes back. I don't think so until September.
Yeah.
And I think I'm with you. I think potentially the most likely might be Hunter Fiducia.
Yeah. All right. Donnie Boy says, or I forget if it's New York, but he's asking, Matthew and Anthony, have you taken an MBTI test? Are you N or S? I have not taken one of those. I had to look. N it represents intuition. S is for sensing. N types focus on patterns, possibilities in the big picture, while S types focus on concrete facts, details, and the present moment. I feel like I'm a little bit of both. So this is a good question. I'm not sure which one I would be. I'm going to have to ask my wife after I hop off this. But Anthony, you ready to self-grade yourself?
I don't think I've ever taken this one. I've taken a bunch of different kinds of these things for like work stuff and all of that. I sort of hate these things because I think there's not enough context and nuance in like where they bucket you. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, because a lot of these things you have to answer either like it's either yes, no, or multiple choice or true, false. Like there's no room for like open-ended stuff. Right. And it's like, well, in this situation, I might be this thing, but in this situation, I might be this thing. Like, it's just, so I always kind of poo-poo those things away when they come for work.
All right. Jaime wants to know, is Teo back tomorrow? I believe that's probably the plan. Although, again, with injury updates from Dave Roberts and excuse me, in reality, a lot of this will be dictated on how Teoscar is feeling. But he's missed now the last 2 games. I personally would not be shocked if he just sits tomorrow, because then he also gets Thursday off, and then he is back in the lineup potentially on Friday against the Giants. But do you see him playing tomorrow?
I would be okay if he's off tomorrow and then just give him the long break. Like, I'd be fine with that.
Would you sit him out like through the Giants series as well?
No, I'd bring him back.
Okay, so just give him like basically these first 4 days this week.
Right, with the off day on Thursday. Yeah, I would be okay with that. Not playing him tomorrow, off day Thursday, bring him back for the Giants series.
Wouldn't shock me if honestly that's the route they end up going. Ederico says, "Is it time for Matthew Moreno to replace Conforto in left field? P.S. Slick look, gentlemen, especially Mr. Witrado's new hairstyle." We've had a few comments, Anthony, on your hair. I think you did say you got a fresh cut recently, right? Yes.
I appreciate it. Yeah, Matt, you got the old Rawlings ready to go.
I have the I'm back from Palm Desert as of this afternoon, so spent a couple of days out there laying by the pool.
Just after the show's over, just catch the flight to Milwaukee, buddy.
Yeah, I'll see what I can. Let me reach out to the Dodgers and see what travel arrangements they can. I need fettuccine Alfredo on my flight. That's a non-negotiable. So if they can make that happen, I'm there. If I'm not in Milwaukee tomorrow, you guys will know where negotiations broke down, and it wasn't my doing.
That's fair.
Aum says Dodgers have 5 players in the All-Star game, and Padres have 3 with Robert Suarez added. Will we see a brawl break out in the NL dugout? Oh, by the way, Dave Roberts is National League All-Star Game manager. Mike Schilt going to jump in from the stands.
You know, I've always wondered about this stuff, and like when I've asked players about it before. So like, okay, you have a rivalry or some bad blood between somebody, and you guys are all-stars. When you get into that clubhouse, what is it like? And some guys would be like, it's not a big deal. Just kind of maybe don't talk to each other. And other guys would be like, oh, it's not. They always say it's not a big deal, but it's not a big deal. Like, yeah, we'll say hi. Like, we're gonna shake hands and give each other a hug. It's no biggie. I am curious though how this one plays out, because like a lot of the main culprits, not on the pitching side, but like the position players are going to be there. Machado, Tatis, for the Padres. So I wonder like if there are any conversations that happen there with Will Smith, Freddie. Hey, I'm curious about that.
It honestly wouldn't shock me because Ohtani, like we saw his reaction when he was hit by Suarez, right? Like he immediately gestured to the Dodgers dugout, don't come out.
Yeah.
Then Suarez was ejected, so there was the pitching change, and Ohtani went over and was talking to the Padres dugout with like smiling, like lighthearted stuff. It wouldn't shock me if he saw like Suarez in walking into the clubhouse, or if he was already there and Ohtani walks in. If he makes like some sort of joke, like, oh, like, hey, you're going to hit me again, type, like, and kind of breaks the ice. And then it sort of just is what it is. I mean, look, I think the reality is the Dodgers have too much to play for. Like, they're not going to get mixed up in, some trading words in the clubhouse at the All-Star game.
I wonder if it puts if it tamps down though, coming back into the series they have in August. I think it is.
Yeah, it is back-to-back weekends. And I think it does until
the first up and in pitch by somebody.
Until the Dodgers throw inside, not necessarily trying to hit anybody, but just pitching inside, and the Padres take it the wrong way, and then they end up deciding to hit somebody. And at that point, the Dodgers feel like, well, wait a minute, you hit one of our guys. Now we're actually going to hit, and then it becomes a whole mess.
We also talked when this all went down, like that Mike Schilt's an idiot, and he sets that tone, and like the first up and in pitch, like he's going to be crapping himself and screaming at somebody. So like the players are going to follow that lead, I think. So it'll be right back to where it was.
Yeah. We have a super chat from Sandra. It says, can we trade Outman for a team mascot to boost morale?
We need Banana Kike back, right? He's hurt right now. He's not doing too much. Go get the banana costume, take it to San Francisco. Let's start something.
Yeah, maybe that would turn it around. All right, I'm warning everybody now. We have some final 3 questions, unless we get a couple baseball ones here at the end. They are off topic. One of them is food related. We have answered all the baseball questions we've seen at this point. So that's my fair warning for everybody. I know some people get upset when we venture off here during the final minutes of the show. We have back-to-back ones from NS. I think this was this came in. I think we were discussing the personality test stuff.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
said,
yeah.
The real question is, do you like conspiracy theories? LOL.
I'm all right with the good conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm like in the like. I'm not blanket statement like I am fully for every conspiracy
Yeah,
theory or
yeah.
fully like some of them I can see. Other ones I think are just too ridiculous. But yeah, good question. And that's the other one. Question. He wants to know, do you eat ceviche in the summer? I'm not a ceviche person. There's too many things that I don't like. So I
That's
don't.
fair.
Summer, spring, winter doesn't matter. I'm not eating it.
Yeah, I think most people here know that I'm not a big onion guy. I don't really eat
That's
onion.
right.
But in ceviche, if it's a good ceviche,
Oh, you
yeah,
look past it?
I can. Yeah,
Okay. Onions they have a strong taste. Like that's a big thing to look past.
it is. But like, we throw some spice in there and overpowers that a little bit. And yeah, and if it has good flavor, there's good shrimp in it or fish or whatever you like. Like, yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah. Here we have a baseball question before we get to our final food one. Ederico says, to the bet slump point earlier, does the wear and tear position of playing the position irrelevant to his offense this year? I mean, I think it is a somewhat reasonable / fair question. But again, like if you look at the stats last year, how Mookie was doing hitting as a shortstop and then how he hit as a right fielder, he was worse. Now, granted, like he did come back. It was after his hand fracture. So had he stayed at shortstop, perhaps he would have gone into a slump. I don't know. It is fair. I can tell you that Mookie's work before games at shortstop is down significantly compared to a year ago. And to my true and tested eye test, that was redundant. I apologize. To my eye test with games, he's not getting like a sudden influx of, oh man, Mookie's having to dive to his left, dive to his right, make all these ranging plays every single game. So I would almost argue that like his usage rate, if you will, and balls and plants, like his sorted and his work, because you can't there's nothing measuring internally. The Dodgers are doing it, but there's no like StatCast data on how much Mookie was working out before a game. But I think it's declined compared to a year ago. So I don't know. I mean, is he feeling the effects of it from last year? Maybe. I think for me, and I've been rambling about it, so I apologize. Biggest thing for me is I think Mookie's been impacted most by the virus that he had to begin the season.
I think, yeah, I'm with you up to this point, and I think I agree with you on the illness. I think that has had a bigger impact on him than I think we all realize, and probably than the team was willing to admit right now. We may come into exit interviews next year or into spring training next year and hear like, I was absolutely not myself. You know what I mean? So, but I think the bigger thing, and I think it was Blake and I who discussed this on Sunday. Maybe it was Jeff and I on Tuesday last week. But this really bad stretch for him coincides with him coming back from the hand injury. And so there hasn't, and they say he's healthy and all that stuff, but I don't know if he's gotten into some certain bad habits or what it is. And he was good in the postseason, but basically he was an MVP up until the fracture. When he came back from the fracture, we've started to see the decline into what he is right now. And so, the logical question would be, did that hand injury, is it maybe it's not lingering in that there's pain in the hand or anything like that, but like, did it change something in his swing or mechanics or whatever that combined with the illness has turned him into this kind of offensive player right now?
Having been part of several exchanges that Blake and Jeff have had about Mookie, I could be wrong, but I'm inclined to believe that was a conversation that Blake brought up and probably pointed out, dating back to his struggles from last season, because they are, as I'm sure a lot of our people know, Blake and Jeff are on very opposite ends of the Mookie spectrum right now. But yeah, I mean, look, it could. I mean, I wonder if it's similar to like when a batter injures their front shoulder. Like a lot of those guys say it takes. Yeah, it's not the first year back.
It's a full year.
It's the second year that you start to feel normal again. So perhaps Mookie is going through something similar, and he just hasn't necessarily verbalized. Not even necessarily.
Yeah, and similar. Like this was not his injury, but the hamate bone injury in a guy's hand. I covered 2 players who had that. One of them was an all-star prior to that. and was terrible the next season. And that player told me, like, it took me at least a full year to, like, for that to start kind of being right. Might not have hurt all the time, but for it to feel right. And you know, with Mookie too, like, part of this is, I think that he was changing his body. He was moving and he's a slight guy, like, though his build is not huge. So it may be a little tougher for us to see on TV, but like for people in person, Matt, you might have noticed this. His body type from a right fielder to a shortstop had started to change. He had started to do different kinds of workouts and all of that kind of thing to get his body to be an optimal infield body. And then he went through all of that and losing all that weight. And I just wonder if, like, just this accumulation of the hand stuff, the illness, the bot, like, all of that has really impacted sort of his performance at the plate.
And then even, I mean, we didn't mention it tonight, but even like the small fracture at the, you know, the tip of his toe too. I mean, that's, I don't imagine that's fun. Like it was from the very beginning basically a pain tolerance thing, and he was going to be back once he could kind of do it. And I don't imagine that has fully healed and is feeling completely normal either.
And these are the reasons why I don't think. Now, I may be wrong. I understand that. But these are the reasons why I am willing to give it until next season to say, like, okay, he really is a declining asset now.
Yeah. Laura wants to know what was the illness, because stomach flu doesn't affect you like that. Laura, I wish we had an answer. We're not trying to be vague on purpose. Yeah. Mookie and the Dodgers
given a straight answer.
Never provided any information, and that's certainly their prerogative. I think, based on the answers we did get, it was certainly curious, if not concerning, to hear.
And also, the stomach flu does not last as long as his stuff lasted.
Right. And at first I thought food poisoning when they initially sent him home from Tokyo. They said it wasn't that. Then we were told that some medicine helped Mookie, like, recover type thing. Like, it was we were covering it. I know, Laura, you were with us both in our live shows, and I'm sure reading on our website. Unfortunately, there's not, Anthony and I aren't trying, and we're not trying to be vague on purpose. We just don't really know, because that information.
And BL Boyd says Mookie had 2 fairly long home runs in the first 10 days back. Those were both, I think, against the Tigers in that home opening series. I was there. Those were not long home runs.
Yeah. Yeah, because he even joked that he was hitting wall scrapers right now. Yeah, he joked that he was hitting wall scrapers. So, Laura, sorry, we couldn't answer that question for you.
But I think to Laura's question, and the fact that the Dodgers never really said what it was, it clearly was not the stomach flu, because stomach flu has a lifespan as short as 24 hours, as long as, like, maybe a few days or so. It feels like it was more serious than just that.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of in line with kind of our question earlier about conspiracy theories, Hepatitis C says, I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat and say Mookie is having a mid 162, means he's saving it for October like last year. That'll certainly be one way to silence all the critics, is if you
I'm
put
with
it together. Yeah. Adam 818 is saying Mookie got sick in Japan. That is, if that did happen, that is not the story that Mookie and the Dodgers have presented to us. It was explained repeatedly that he was sick, I believe, the night or 2 nights before they left to Japan was when he started to feel the effects of it, and that was why he still went on the trip. I think they thought it was. And I think,
I think you're going here, Matt. I think that was why the initial hinting at it was like stomach flu or stomach bug.
Right.
And then when they got there is when I think they realized this isn't going away. This is more serious. Send him home.
Yeah, and look, and this has opened up a can of worms. We're getting a lot of questions. Unfortunately, we don't have answers, really. Anthony and I do not. The Dodgers, again, have not shared. They did not specify. Same thing with Mookie. You can go back. We have those videos up on our YouTube channel of Mookie kind of discussing. Again, he mentioned some medicine helped him at one point. And I feel like, other than questions about, like, did the illness, is it impacting his hitting? Is it lingering? Like, that's kind of where the discussion has shifted to. We're not going to get an answer saying, hey, Mookie, remember when you were sick back in March? What was that? Like, they're not going to touch on
my feeling on this is we will not know anything close to a full story, maybe ever, but we're going to have to wait until next spring training to at least
best case scenario,
potentially get some more.
Or Jeff Passan comes out, similar to the Freddie Freeman ankle thing. As soon as the World Series ends, it's like, oh, Freddie Freeman actually was playing, or not the ankle, his rib injury that he revealed. Like maybe something like that. But yeah, I think spring training otherwise. All right, last question for the night. David says, thinking filet mignon at lamplighter night, you guys think it's the right call? David, filet mignon in my book is always the right call.
It's never the wrong call.
Yes, there we go. So David, I hope you're still in here. I know you were earlier. If not, maybe we'll tweet you saying make sure you get the filet mignon. Be sure to send us pictures. I know, like you always do. Yeah. All right. So I think that does it for tonight. Again, I do want to thank everybody.
Yeah, this was a fun show tonight.
Anthony and I were not concerned, but joking, like we were going to have to. And even Maddie Man early in the comments said, you guys are going to have to wear your helmets tonight because it was going to get brutal. And it really wasn't. It was engaging. It was entertaining. We had a lot of fun with you guys. As a reminder, we will be back on Thursday night. Jeff will be back in this seat, so it'll be Jeff and Bruce on Thursday. We'll figure. I think I might maybe fill in Sunday. Anthony is going to be up in San Francisco. The trade-off, Anthony, is I'm going to need you to eat some garlic fries for me. Otherwise, you're going to have to live stream from the stadium.
I'll send a picture out of the garlic fries that I don't finish.
There we go. There we go.
But again, I will be up there in San Francisco this weekend. So if anybody wants to say hello, I'll be up there.
Yeah, and we'll Anthony, if you tweet out some pictures, we'll retweet you to maybe remind people in case they forgot that you were out there, and that'll jog their memory, and then they'll reach out to you, and you can meet one of our staff members and live show personalities in person. Anthony and I have met twice or three times, I think, at the stadium. So little by little, our staff is kind of meeting each other since we're kind of spread out. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we did the Laker thing with crypto. So yeah. David was still in here. He says filet mignon it is. All right, David, send us a picture then. We're looking forward to it. That's going to do it for tonight. As a reminder, if you are on the Dodger Blue 1958 YouTube channel, please hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, all that good stuff. If you're not, if you watched on on Twitter, on Facebook, come check out our YouTube channel, podcast, Apple, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, all those. Rate, review, subscribe there as well. And then come check us out in the video component. Maybe you can join our live shows one of these times. So that's Anthony. I'm Matthew, and we'll see you guys again on Thursday.